We want to turn now as we welcome our Mahealani Richardson to the Digital Center to give us the latest on the Red Hill developments. Mahealani, what's going on there?
Well, the big Red Hill trial starts on Monday in federal court, and this is a massive lawsuit. In fact, there were many lawsuits after the 2021 fuel spills that you may recall, where 20,000 gallons of fuel leaked from the Navy's Red Hill tanks more than 2 miles away from Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. After those fuel spills happened, thousands of people who lived at Pearl Harbor and in surrounding military housing got sick, and many of them say that they continue to suffer illnesses today. So that's what this lawsuit is all about. Now, these cases were basically consolidated. So there are 16 bellwether or lead plaintiffs who say that they've suffered long-term illnesses. Now, the case blames the Navy for not only causing the spill, but for failing to warn the families that the tap water was tainted. Now, the plaintiffs have about 26 witnesses. Defendants will bring in 15 more witnesses. It's really a question of who the government wants to call to hear in person. The trial is expected to take about 2 weeks, and there's no jury. We spoke with attorney Christina Bear, who's representing 7,500 clients.
The plaintiffs have 26 witnesses. The defendants probably have another 12 to 15 more, and it'll be a question of who the government wants ultimately to call. But I can tell you that the judge wants to hear from our plaintiffs. And the plaintiffs want to tell their story. And that's what this case is really about. It's about the extent of the harm. You know, you asked earlier about accountability. They already have accountability in that there is a finding of liability in this case for every single claim that the plaintiffs had. Premises liability, negligence, nuisance, all of it. The United States has admitted liability for all of it. Now the case is about the extent of the harm.
And so the attorneys from the Department of Justice have said in court documents that the U.S. does not dispute that the 2021 spill happened and caused a nuisance for these plaintiffs, and that these, quote, injuries are compensable under the Federal Tort Claims Act. The question is, the judge needs to decide the extent of the harm, and can the illnesses of today be linked to the spill of back then in 2021, and how much money should these plaintiffs get? Dylan?
Now, Mahea, we understand you've also been speaking with a number of the families involved in this ever since this started, and we know some of them may be testifying coming up. What's the next steps?
Well, 2 of the main families will be testifying in court on Monday. They have since moved to the continent, so they've flown in for this. They are Army Major Amanda Feint and her husband Patrick, another couple, Nastasia and Coda Freeman. They will describe a slew of illnesses for them and their children from drinking that fuel-tainted tap water, from gastrointestinal illnesses, dizziness, seizures, rashes, neurodevelopmental issues, and multiple hospitalizations. Now, there's a couple of people who offered their depositions who are high profile. Board of Water Supply Chief and Manager Ernie Lau, he offered a deposition for this trial, but the judge decided that she will only consider basically what happened from when the families drank the water and got sick. She is not going to consider what happened previous to that, and so that's what Ernie Lau is talking about. Also, a whistleblower who used to work at Red Hill as a lead director for Red Hill, she came into the Red Hill fuel facilities during 2020, and in March of 2020, you may recall, that was when the pandemic just started. She was told that the Red Hill fuel facility was this amazing, magnificent structure with 20 tanks with no problems. And then what she says in her deposition is that she discovered that contractors tried to cut corners because of trying to save money. And then she actively saw a spill in March of 2020 coming out from the pier all across from the Arizona Memorial. She said she saw a spill back then. She tried to alert her higher-ups. She tried to alert military leaders, but again and again, she was told that what she was seeing was just historical and part of the past. And eventually, she lost her job at Red Hill, but she will not be testifying, but her deposition is part of the record.
our Mahealani Richardson unwrapping all of this for us. Thank you so much. We'll be sure to keep an eye on this story as we go forward with this trial. Mahealani, thank you so much. Let's turn now to some other news around Hawaii, including a call from HPD.